All right, welcome back to Just the Watch. I'm Dave, and this is my channel where I'm trying to build the ultimate watch collection, one affordable watch at a time. This is part two of our my micro brand versus major brand video, and so today we're going to be talking about why major brands are better than micro brands and why it's better to spend your money on major brands versus micro brands. If you didn't see my previous video where I talked about why micro brands are better than major brands, watch that one as well to get the complete picture. Today we're actually going to talk about four reasons why major brands are better, because I think there's kind of four benefits to going with the major brand watches. The first one is heritage. So that's the biggest disadvantage, I think, to micro brand watches in a lot of people's mind, is that the major brands, they have a history behind them, and many of them, that history goes back hundreds of years. They've made significant contributions to the world of horology as a whole, and by buying a watch from one of these major brands, you're able to kind of participate in that history and heritage and to wear something on your wrist that represents and reflects on a rich history and past of things that have been done. You think about the watches like Rolex, where they have the Explorer that was taken up to the top of Mount Everest. And if you can get your hand on one of those, then you have a watch that kind of gives you that connection and that heritage to the great explorers of the past. Or even further, if you want to go all the way to the moon, you can pick up a watch from Bulova and get the Bulova Lunar Pilot, which is a watch that was used on the moon, and get that connection to the space industry. Obviously, there was, I think, another moon watch too. I forget who made it, but yeah. So you can get this kind of heritage and this connection to past accomplishments, either in just great events in human history or in great landmarks in watchmaking and in the advancement of horology. So you get that heritage that comes from major brands. That obviously a micro brand that's just starting up does not have that, and they can't have that, and they've got to develop that. And maybe 50 years from now they might, but any kind of new brand is going to struggle in that area, and micro brands in particular are going to lack that. Second reason why major brands are better than micro brands, and that's just kind of a little bit of peace of mind. So you're getting the peace of mind, first of all, that this company has been in business for longer than 6 months. It's not like it's a Kickstarter where you're not sure if they're even going to deliver on your promise. You know that if you're going to have problems with the watch down the road, that the company will be there to support you with it, to give you the opportunity to have it serviced. And it's just generally going to have more peace of mind, whereas you're taking more of a risk with micro brands, either in the product that you're going to receive because they don't have a track record of what you've seen from the past, or whether they're going to continue to be in existence to help you deal with warranty or any of that sort of stuff in the future going forward. So there's more peace of mind when you're going with a major brand watch than a micro brand watch. And so that's another reason why I think major brands are better than micro brands. Third reason, and we kind of touched on this before, and it kind of ties into the idea of heritage, is just the idea of name recognition. People have heard of Rolex. People have heard of Timex. They've heard of Seiko. They have these certain associations and familiarity with these watches, and so people will typically recognize it. So it's kind of the counterpoint to the uniqueness and the obscurity of a micro brand. Some people might like that, but you might be drawn to the opposite, where you want the name recognition of a major brand. You want people to recognize your watch and have that be the conversation starter. They might say, oh, a Timex is a great watch. I've had a Timex before when I was a kid. And yeah, that'll be the kind of way that conversation will lead into. Or obviously if you're rich and you buy a Rolex, people will see that and they'll recognize it and they'll be like, oh, so this guy must be successful or something, and he's got a really expensive watch that I recognize. Even things like MVMT, which everybody hates, they have this name recognition that comes with them, and I don't think I would classify them as a micro brand anymore. They're a huge company, and they have a huge amount of name recognition that comes with it, and that's something that does have a certain amount of value to it, even if the rest of the watch doesn't have a lot of value to it. Finally, the fourth reason why major brands are better than micro brands, and for a budget watch collector, this is one of the most significant reasons, I think, and that is Resale value. Major brands, I think, tend to have a stronger resale value than micro brands. Oftentimes with micro brands, because so few people know about them, they're much more difficult to sell if you don't like it or if you change your mind down the road. So a lot of times if you're looking at a micro brand, you really have to consider whether this is something that you want to hold on to long term. Whereas if you buy something like a nice Seiko dive watch or a safe, Hamilton field watch, these are things that are in high demand no matter what. And maybe 3 or 4 years down the road, if you get tired of it, it will be much easier to offload that watch than it would be to, offload this watch that you backed on Kickstarter that no one has ever heard about before. So I think for me, as a budget watch collector, if unless it's something that I know I'm going to keep long term, that's one of the big benefits to going with a major brand, a safer brand, something that everybody already knows and loves, is you will have that opportunity to sell it later on. And especially if you're trying to build a watch collection, that is very helpful to be able to have that peace of mind of knowing that if I want to, I can sell this later. I'm not going to lose everything that I put into it. And that's something that I've experienced. I bought obscure watches before, and basically I'm stuck with them now. I don't really like them anymore, but I can't really sell them either. Whereas watches that I've gotten from major brands, especially if you buy used, that's the best. If you buy a used major brand watch, you can oftentimes sell it for the same amount that you paid for it. And that's probably the smartest way to go about it from a watch collecting standpoint, especially when you start to get into more expensive watches. So those are my 4 reasons why I think major brands are better than micro brands. Hopefully this kind of thing has helped you as if you're considering buying watches and you're kind of struggling between this choice of buying something from a major brand that's more well known versus this micro brand that has this really kind of emotional connection that you really love. It's a tough trade-off to pick, and I have in my collection kind of a variety of watches from both major brands and micro brands. So I think there's good cases on either side, but those are my main points for that I kind of consider when I'm looking at either a micro brand watch or a major brand watch. Again, I always like to hear what you guys think. What do you guys think of major brand watches? Do you prefer one or the other? Do you agree that these are the primary benefits, or is there something that I missed? Is there another benefit to major brand watches that I didn't bring up? Yeah, that'll wrap up today's video. Nice quick one. As always, love hearing from you guys, and I'll hope to talk to you soon. Talk to you later. Bye.